The Arizona sun was just beginning to dip behind the low, dusty buildings when Daniel Reyes locked up the hood of a 2003 Ford pickup and wiped the grease from his hands. Reyes Auto Repair wasn't much to look at. 2 bays, a faded sign, and a soda machine that only worked if you kicked it twice, but it kept food on the table. Barely. Dad. 10-year-old Mateo burst out of the tiny office in the back, waving a math worksheet. I got 100, Mrs. Carter said. I'm the fastest in class now. Daniel's tired face split into a grin. That's my guy. He scooped his son into a one-armed hug, careful not to smear grease on his shirt. Told you practice works. Mateo beamed. Can we still get tacos? Daniel hesitated. He had $38 in his wallet until Friday. Rent was due in 4 days. Yeah, he said finally. Tacos it is. They stepped outside into the warm Phoenix evening. The street was quiet, just a few cars humming past and the smell of hot asphalt cooling after a long day. Daniel was locking the garage gate when he heard it. A thud. He turned. Across the street, near the sidewalk, a woman in a tailored navy suit had collapsed beside a sleek black SUV. Her briefcase lay open, papers spilling into the dust. For half a second, Daniel froze. Then instinct took over. Mateo, stay here, he ordered, already sprinting across the street. The woman was on her side, breathing shallowly, one hand clutching her chest. She looked to be in her early 40s. Expensive watch, designer heels, completely out of place in this neighborhood. Ma'am, can you hear me? Daniel asked, kneeling beside her. Her eyes fluttered. It hurts, she whispered. My chest. Daniel's stomach dropped. Heart attack. He'd taken a CPR class years ago after his wife died in a car accident. He remembered the instructor's voice clearly. Act fast. Seconds matter. Mateo, he shouted. Call 911. Tell them chest pain, possible heart attack. Reyes Auto on 7th. Mateo's small hands were already fumbling with Daniel's old flip phone. Daniel gently rolled the woman onto her back. Her breathing was erratic. Stay with me, he urged. What's your name? Clara, she gasped. Okay, Clara, I'm Daniel. Help's coming. Her eyes rolled back. Clara, Clara, she stopped breathing. Time shattered. Daniel interlocked his hands and began compressions. 1, 2, 3, he pushed hard and fast, counting aloud. Dust rose around them. Cars slowed. Someone shouted. Mateo's voice trembled nearby. They said ambulance is coming. Daniel didn't stop. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. He tilted her head, sealed his mouth over hers, and breathed. Nothing. Again. Come on, he muttered. Come on. Another set of compressions. His arms burned. Sweat dripped into his eyes. Then, she gasped. A ragged, desperate inhale. Daniel nearly collapsed in relief, but he kept her stable, speaking softly until sirens wailed down the street. Paramedics rushed in. What happened? One demanded. Collapsed. No breathing. I did CPR, Daniel said, stepping back. They worked quickly. Oxygen mask, IV line, stretcher. As they loaded her into the ambulance, Clara's eyes flickered open for a brief second. She looked at Daniel. There was confusion, then recognition, and something like gratitude. The doors slammed shut. The ambulance disappeared. Silence returned. Daniel stood in the street, chest heaving. Mateo walked over and slipped his hand into his dad's. You saved her, he whispered. Daniel stared down the road. I hope so. 2 weeks passed. Life returned to its normal rhythm, tight budgets, long days, overdue bills. Daniel didn't think much about the woman after a few days. He figured she was recovering somewhere, surrounded by family and doctors. Then, on a Tuesday morning, 3 black SUVs pulled up outside Reyes Auto Repair. Daniel looked up from under a Honda Civic. Dad, Mateo whispered from the office window. Are we in trouble? Men in suits stepped out first. Security. Then a woman, Clara, only now, she wasn't in distress. She stood tall, poised, dressed in an ivory pantsuit that probably cost more than Daniel made in 2 months. Daniel wiped his hands and stepped forward, wary. Ma'am, she smiled. Mr. Reyes, you're alive, he said, dumbly. A small laugh escaped her. Because of you. She extended her hand. Clara Whitmore. The name rang a faint bell. Daniel shook her hand cautiously. You doing okay? I had a 90% blockage in my left anterior descending artery, she said calmly. They call it the Widowmaker. Daniel swallowed. The cardiologist said if CPR hadn't started when it did, she paused. I wouldn't be here. Mateo edged closer to his dad. Clara noticed him and smiled warmly. You must be Mateo. You called 911. Mateo nodded shyly. Clara turned back to Daniel. I owe you my life. Daniel shrugged awkwardly. Anyone would have done it. Her security team exchanged glances. Clara shook her head. No, they wouldn't have. She glanced at the garage. The cracked pavement, the aging lifts, the peeling paint. You didn't even know who I was. Daniel frowned. Should I? Clara's lips curved slightly. I'm the CEO of Whitmore Technologies. The name hit him like a delayed punch. Whitmore Technologies was a billion-dollar corporation specializing in renewable energy systems. Solar grids, battery storage, infrastructure. It was constantly in the news. Daniel stared at her. You're that Whitmore? Yes. Mateo's eyes widened. Dad, she's on the business channel. Daniel shot his son a look. Clara laughed softly. I was in Phoenix reviewing a new manufacturing facility location, she explained. I decided to stop for coffee. My driver had just parked when I collapsed. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. Glad you're okay. She studied him carefully. I'd like to repay you. Daniel stiffened. Not necessary. It is to me. He shook his head. Look, I didn't do it for money. I know, she said gently. That's precisely why you deserve something. Silence stretched. Finally, Daniel said, Ma'am, with respect, I've got work to do. Clara's eyes softened. Then allow me to bring the opportunity to you. 3 days later, Daniel found himself sitting in a glass-walled conference room overlooking downtown Phoenix. He had never felt more out of place. Clara sat across from him. I did some research, she said. You've been running your shop for 12 years. No loans, no investors. You rebuilt it after your wife passed. Daniel stiffened at the mention. You're raising Mateo alone, she continued. And you volunteer teaching basic auto repair at the community center on weekends. He blinked. How do you know that? I make it my business to know things, she replied. She slid a folder across the table. Inside were blueprints. What's this? He asked. A proposal, she said. Whitmore Technologies is expanding into electric vehicle retrofitting. Converting older gas-powered cars into affordable electric models for working families. Daniel looked up. I need someone who understands engines. Someone practical. Someone who cares about community. He swallowed. I want to fund a full renovation of Reyes Auto Repair. New equipment, training, certification. You would head the pilot program. Daniel stared at her like she'd spoken another language. I don't have a business degree. I don't need one, she said. I need integrity. He leaned back, overwhelmed. And what's the catch? She smiled slightly. You work hard. You run it well. You give families a cheaper way to drive clean. And if I fail, you won't. That's not an answer. Her expression softened. I was raised by a single mother, she said quietly. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. My first car was 20 years old and broke down weekly. If someone like you had existed in my neighborhood, she paused. Life would have been different. Daniel felt something shift inside him. This isn't charity, she continued. It's an investment. In you. He looked at the blueprints again. New lifts, solar panels on the roof, training programs, apprenticeships, Mateo's future. You'd really do this? Yes. He sat silently for a long moment. Then he said, on one condition. Her eyebrow lifted. You let me hire 2 kids from the vocational high school every year. Paid internships. Clara smiled slowly. Deal. 6 months later, Reyes Auto Electric opened its doors. The cracked sign was gone. In its place stood a sleek new logo powered by solar panels installed overhead. Inside, modern equipment gleamed. Daniel, now certified in EV retrofitting, stood proudly beside the first completed conversion, a 2008 Toyota Corolla transformed into a fully electric vehicle at half the market cost. Families lined up. Local news cameras rolled. Mateo handed out flyers like he owned the place. Clara stood quietly off to the side, watching. Daniel approached her. You didn't have to come. I wanted to. He glanced around the shop. Never thought CPR would lead to this. She smiled. Life has interesting timing. He grew serious. You know, that day, I almost didn't cross the street. Her expression changed. Why? Long day. Tired. Figured someone else would help. She looked at him steadily. But you didn't walk away. He shook his head. No. She extended her hand again. Thank you, Daniel. He shook it firmly. No, he said. Thank you. Across the shop, Mateo waved. Dad, they want you for the interview. Daniel laughed. As he walked toward the cameras, Clara felt a quiet certainty settle in her chest. Saving her life had been an act of instinct. But what Daniel had really done was restart far more than her heart. He'd restarted Hope, and this time, it was electric. .1500 watt.